Hey, how
How
you
are you?
doing?
Good. How are you? Sorry I'm late.
I mean, you're doing me a favor, so I don't care if it
Yeah.
was till 8 o'clock. I was gonna wait.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. What's going on? How are you?
I'm doing very good. As you can tell, I'm a man of my word. Because the last time you saw me, I had a wave cap on. I said, next time
I
you
was like,
see,
I see that. I was like, you got super dressed, and I was like, I appreciate it.
yeah, I told you. Because look, it was late at night. I didn't think I was gonna get picked. When I
I
get picked,
know.
I said, forget it. But I'm a
I'm
man
about
of
to.
my word.
Yes, I like it. Hold on one second. Let me go grab something. Hold on one second.
Okay, got you.
Oh, so are you. Thank you. Okay. We out here. We got people dropping things off. Sorry.
I love it though. I love it. That goes to show that hey, anybody can just come up to your crib, drop something off, and be like,
Just
"Bam."
some of our packages delivered. What's going on? Talk to me about what's new in your world.
So what's new in my world is I actually have a job dropping off packages, but I'm off today, so I'm glad.
Okay. Where do you do that at?
So I do it with Amazon.
Okay,
So
good.
yeah,
Oh,
I'm
yeah, for sure. So you stay busy.
right. So I do that along with cutting grass, but had a day off, and when I got the call, not so much call, but I got like my phone went off yesterday, and they said, "Hey, Chris, can you talk to Cari?" I said, "I sure can."
Hmm. Good. I'm glad. I like that you work hard. I appreciate that about you. Where do you live?
I'm in Youngstown, Ohio. I'm an
Oh, okay,
hour.
nice.
I say, yeah, I'm an hour away from Cleveland.
Okay, I love that. Okay, so talk to me about what you want to talk about.
So I want to talk to you right now about the state of the Black Lives Matter movement. And me as an African American young black reporter, I must admit, I'm very afraid because I still don't feel safe in this country for anything. I really don't.
Safe in what way?
Well, say for instance, I'm doing a story at an all white school, if I'm covering a team, or say if I'm, at my job dropping off a package in an all white neighborhood. Like, should I really feel safe?
No. Yeah. Well, safe as in somebody might try to get you.
Yes.
I can relate to that. I think I don't, it's so interesting. I just had a conversation with one of my friends is in who is in this space. He's a black report. Well, he's a black analyst, and he was saying that he doesn't feel safe, like in terms of sharing his opinion. Not safe in terms of physicality, because his life hasn't really changed, but in terms of sharing his opinion and what that looks like, because so many of us are dealing with it in different ways. Um, I live in a very different area, right? So I live in LA. So I don't feel like danger is imminent. What I do feel the real danger is in limiting our voices and feeling like we can't express ourselves. Because I feel like the time is now more than ever to not let our foot up off the gas and stay very vigilant in how we talk about what matters to us. While they're paying attention, do that, but do it in a way that makes a profound impact and not just talk. Like when you get in front of people that have a platform, or when you're able to talk to people who are, my dog is getting my nerves. When you're able to talk to people, when you're able to talk to people who can really maybe help you or give you some type of advice that you need in this space, then you should do that. Like I think that what I would encourage you to do. You know what I've been trying to think about. I do it for women because I feel like young girls can. I can mentor them. I would love for somebody to come, and that might even be your calling to mentor young black men where you guys get together, young black guys, and y'all get together and talk about what you want to do and how you want to change how people perceive you guys. Because it's important. We don't have that. And I believe that it's so important right now to do that. It really bothers me that I don't see more of that in the abundance that I see it with black women, like black girls who code, brown girls
Yes.
dream. Like if you had a space where you can go where you guys could all just talk, I think that would help you. I think that would help you and feeling more safe in your community. And because I'm sure there's some like-minded people like you in your area. You know what I mean?
Yes. And I think it's amazing that, you had actually brought up like either starting a foundation, because that's what you have with Brown Girls Dream. Is that what made you decide to start up Brown Girls Dream, like to be able to pour into the next crop of women that look like you?
Yeah, I think I was always getting well, because I was one of the first to ever really be in a big platform like I was, and I was getting a lot of phone calls and a lot of emails and a lot of texts from people being like, "Oh, I want to do this," or people would jump in my DMs and say, "I want to do this," and I was like, "Well, that's great." I really honestly felt overwhelmed, and I didn't know the impact that I was having just by because if you see it, you believe it, so you don't know the impact that you're having, and then so I had an opportunity to just casually started. I thought it would start off as something just like two or three people, just a couple of girls. I'd be talking to a couple of girls, but it ended up being so much more. And I'm so grateful for that because I think that I'm able to open the door for girls who didn't have the door. Like I didn't have the door open for me. So
Yes.
it's always nice to have somebody just hold the door open. Like I had my mentor in Jemele, if you will, right? Like she was a good mentor for me. But like I wasn't always able to have other people help me and look out for me. And I didn't have a true, what I thought, in my opinion, was a true sisterhood. So I like the idea of having a sisterhood of people just taking care of everybody. Like it was beautiful. And I didn't have that. So I think when you really want to see change, you should be the change. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like you can't wait for somebody else to do it. You should do it yourself.
Yeah, you got to do it yourself because ultimately, if you want to see something change, then you have to do it. And that's actually what you and Jamel are actually getting ready to do with the show Disruptors.
Yes.
How did that show come about for you guys?
We have been, Jamel and I used to always do these. It started way back when we worked in Bristol. We would do all these IG lives, or not even then. I think it was like, forget whatever format it was. It was social, but it was like we would always do these different, live chats where we would just be silly. We would call ourselves the aunties. This was way back in Bristol, like
Yeah.
2015. And it was just fun and we loved it. And then after that we moved on to Hey Kara, and we moved on to other different things, and people would always be like, it would be good to see you guys on the show. So when I would appear on her show or I appear on her podcast or vice versa, when she was on my show or my podcast, we just really were kind of killing the game and having fun. And we were, for a very long period of time, we were just being ourselves and having fun and having our homegirl talks on live television mixed in with sports. And so when we both left, prior to me leaving ESPN, I went to her house and I'm all like, yeah, let's shoot a pilot. I want us to have a TV show together. Like just put it
Yes.
in the atmosphere. Again, I'm really a big believer if you want to go out and get it. Hey, Rashawn. And I'm like, if you want to go out and get it, I don't care. Just go get it. And so we shot a pilot and then we let it live. And then we did different versions of that pilot on IG Live. And then people just really had our back and really liked it. And so I thought it was nice. And so a friend of a friend introduced us some folks' advice, and there you go. That was
It's
it. They were like, "Okay, we'll give you a show." It sounds really easy, and it was, but it wasn't easy in the sense of it's easy to get a show. It was just time. People knew it was a time, and this was in the works since like March of earlier this year.
in a sense, in a like I could kind of feel that you and her decided, no, we're gonna bet on ourselves because we've already done the
Yeah.
whole major network on being on arguably the greatest sports network, but now you want to do your own thing.
Yeah.
Was that a hard jump to make?
That's a hard jump to make if your ego's involved. I think Jamele's ego, she left before I did, obviously. I don't necessarily think her ego was involved. Maybe a little bit because when you're on TV, your ego is involved. But you just have to, you have to decide after you've created a platform. It was strategic, right? So we created a platform. People knew us. That's why I'm here talking to you today. That's where you knew me from. And so that was, it wasn't strategic, but it worked out. So she was there for, I don't know, maybe 12 years. I was there for 8. We people stay there and they live there and it's a great place to live, but at the end of the day, sometimes storytelling gets lost, journalistic priorities get lost because you're turning out so much work and it's a format. And so we really wanted to get back to programming and telling stories and interviewing.
Yes.
And the only way we could do that is just betting on ourselves. And just that's what we did. And it was great. We didn't even think of a show. We were like, we'll work together. We kind of were like, maybe a podcast. We didn't even think of a TV show because we all have our own separate projects. Like we both have our own production companies. We both have our
Yes.
own projects. So we didn't even know that we would end up doing a show, but the show was great and they gave us a lot of flexibility. The beauty of being at someplace like Vice, they're really into telling great stories. They're really into being flexible with their talent because they know that we have other things that we want to also pursue
Yes.
outside of just a talk show. And they also were very amenable to us being executive producers. Like to me, it was the best of all worlds, because the goal for people who are in front of the camera is ultimately to own their own content. And you can do that now. You're doing that now by doing your own IG live. But the goal for people who, well, I want to be a reporter, or I want to be on camera, you want to own it. You don't want to be just a talking head. You want to own it. You want to have a say so. You want to write the content. You want to be able to pick and choose. And it just takes an incredible belief in oneself, and obviously a higher power, to know that there's more for you.
Yes.
And there's still more to come. Like, that was just one thing. We got so much more happening.
I love how you put there's so much more happening, and there's a higher power. How was your relationship with God during all of this? Like, how often did you pray? How often
Every
did you?
day, all day. I pray like I talk. I pray like I'm talking to you. Like, I'll say something real slick. Like today, I had a bunch of phone calls, and some things to do, and I was like exhausted. And then I was like, Jesus, thank you for just high class problems. Let me not ever be ungrateful. Like, let me not
Yes.
ever be overwhelmed by the bounty. Like, forgive me for that. Thank you, Father. Keep blessing me. Amen. Like say it just in the middle of whatever I'm doing. Like, just before I, like, let the Spirit catch me when I'm getting like, oh, I don't feel like doing this, or I'm tired, or I don't want to do that, or I'm exhausted by this. Like, these are all great problems to have. And listen, I think I didn't, people don't realize, like, when you work in an institution, because I'll call it an institution in the sense of, when you work in a place like that, it's hard to understand your value, because you're so isolated. Like,
Yes.
you're so siloed. And then when you leave, and this is for all the talent there, when you leave, you're like, oh, wait, there's a whole world out here, and they all want to hear from me. They were always curious about me. They always wanted to know what I could do. And the opportunities are endless. It's just hard to take the jump, because you have to really know that it's going to be a hustle. You got to set yourself up. Like, it's all a plan. You don't just leave like,
Yes.
out, deuces. Like, you can just save money, get yourself light and tight, make sure you have a plan A, B, and C, because it'll always work out differently than what you've anticipated.
Yes.
And you just put things in place. And I put things in place. You surround yourself, you network, you put things in place. Like, it's hard to do it's hard to do it. It's easier said than done. And I try to be patient with my friends who want to do it too, in different aspects of their career. When they don't jump, I'm like, dang, just do it. And
I'm the same way. Yeah.
everybody can't move like that. Everybody can't, as a journalist, I moved across the country. I don't know how many times. I've lived in like 8 different places, 9 different places. And I was like different states. And I'm like, okay, bye. See ya. Bye, bye, bye. Everybody isn't built that way. And some people don't need to be built that way. And that is okay in itself. But all I can say is, if you want a different life, you demand it. Like, don't sit there and wait for it to come to you, because it won't. And don't be mad because somebody else is doing it. Don't count other people's blessings. Don't dismiss their blessings. Don't feel like you have to talk bad about their blessings because you aren't doing what you want to do, and you're not living the life you want to live. That's the
Yes.
quickest way never to get what you want.
You said that's the quickest way never to get what you want. What you
Yeah.
wanted was to, be on ESPN and things of that nature. Well, not so much be on ESPN, but you wanted to make sure that you were making a.
Hold on one second. Thought I had do not disturb.
Okay.
Again?
Okay. So, like I was saying, you were mentioning, you wanted to. This is by
All
far
right.
the funnest interview I've done. No, it's all right. I love it. But I love how you had said, if you wanted to make something happen, you have to make it happen. I was watching you on the All the Smoke podcast with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. And I love that mug, by the way, too. Go Lakers. But like I was saying, on that podcast, you had said that you bet it on yourself. You flew
Always.
across the country and you
Always.
went to have, I guess, you sat down for 2 days and waited for somebody from ESPN to come out and talk to you, and then it
Yep.
worked.
Yep. That I
During
didn't get the job though. I didn't get the job that day, or I didn't get it that next month. I didn't get it 6 months from. I got the job a year and some change later. But I betted myself. I walked in the door. I talked to these people. I kept myself at front of mind. I didn't over harass. I gently nudged. I reminded them. I would send them my work when I was at Tennis Channel, and I knew I was good. Like, I never doubted my ability. That was a
yes,
God-given ability. But I just knew that the time wasn't right. His no doesn't mean no. It means not right now.
delayed is
I
not
kept,
denied.
yeah, I tried to leave ESPN 2 years after I got there, and the job that I thought I had fell through at the last minute, and I was so heartbroken. It wasn't time. Um, and then 2 years after I got there, I was like, "Oh, I'm out." Nah, like they were like, "Not today, Cari." And because my goal was always to get there, get out, and come back home.
Yes.
And that wasn't the plan. Fast forward 8 years later, that's when it was time. And by the way, it felt right. A lot of us know when it feels right. If you're in tune with God's plan for you, if you're in tune with what's realistic, because self-awareness, there's a bunch of things that play into this, like self-awareness, like, is this the right time? Is this the right move? And if it isn't, if it turns out to not be the right move, if it turns out that my plans are detoured, what are my other backup plans?
Yes.
Um, and and I don't know, I can't speak to everybody, but I just hustle. Like, I don't even know not how to hustle. Like, I don't care how many jobs I have or opportunities I have. Even while I was ESPN, my hustle was, speaking engagements. I would be speaking for different people. I'd be working on different projects. I did the Uber commercials. Like, I'm always like, hustle, hustle, hustle. What else is there? What else is there? And so that spirit lives on. Like, you just always have to be that person. And I think it's easier said than done. It just is, but you have to really truly go in focused in knowing what you can bring to the table, what you really want to, not necessarily what you really want to do, because it always evolves and changes. But if
Yes.
you're looking to make a career change, I've never gone wrong with following my passion. I always tell people, do what they really truly want to do. Like, some people do things based on money, some people do things based on reputation or what it looks like. And I don't believe in that. Like, as a result of wanting to tell stories, and I ended up being on TV. But like, I've never chased what is cool and what's happening. I've always wanted to tell really good stories, because nothing's worse than being in a job that you don't like and you make a lot
Yes.
of money and you feel trapped. That's nothing worse, because then you become addicted to the lifestyle, addicted to the money, and you can't walk away. And that's so many people. Like, I can't even, damn near everybody I know. Like, you just feel
Yes.
trapped. And the luxury in our life right now, especially in 2020, is knowing that nothing is promised, nothing is going to be as planned. And if not now, when? If not now, when? If we don't ask for justice as Black people, if we don't ask for them to demand that we get treated the same, if we don't demand
Yes.
equality, if not now, when? Right now is the time.
Right now is the time. And, like earlier, you had mentioned something along the lines of you have to follow your passion, and then along with you doing pieces. One of my favorite pieces that you did was Rolling with the Champion with LeBron James and Kevin Durant.
Yeah,
Out
yeah.
of all the years that you were on ESPN, what was probably your favorite piece that you did?
I think that was the most memorable one with LeBron and Kevin. And that was actually through Uber. That was a commercial. And it was just the most powerful thing ever. And it was so special. But you have to realize, at the same time it was special, it pissed off a lot of people. Like, a lot of
It
people
did.
behind the scenes were pissed. Not even just Laura Ingraham, but just like the people you think that root for you won't root for you. And but that speaks to the power of it. So this is my message for all y'all. When you guys are running out here and doing great things, and the people you think should root for you don't root for you, that means you're just killing the game, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Um,
I've
that was
experienced that last year and this year. So you preaching to the choir, but go ahead.
Yeah, like, I I that was one of them. I think anything that I've ever done with Kobe, may he rest in peace, was always special to me, because I'm a diehard Laker fan, and
Me
to
too.
interview one of my idols was a special. Um, and I mean, I had some good moments when I was on First Take. I had some really powerful moments when I was on First Take. For better or for worse, working with that crew, I just had
Yes.
some powerful moments where we discussed um, racial inequity, where we talked about what's going on in the world. I will tell you, Skip and Stephen A. and myself, I think that was probably arguably the most powerful trio of First Take, in terms of who we all were. Because I think
Yes.
everybody was once I got comfortable in my own skin, you couldn't stop it. And then
Yeah.
there was the Floyd interview, Floyd Mayweather interview. I mean, I've had a handful of things that are memorable, and to me, set with the culture, for better or for worse.
For better or for worse, it's sad with the culture. I agree. I enjoyed watching you on First Take. Just briefly, what was it like working with Skip Bayless and Stephen A?
It was hard. It was the hardest, arguably the hardest job I've ever had in terms of live television. Like I had to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That was my first real dive into it. Like in terms of live television, like I don't know what the hell they were talking about. They could be mad at each other. They could be happy. They could be mad at me. You know, who knows? But like the reality is that it was always, you just didn't know. You sit down, you buckled your seat, you buckled up yourself in your seatbelt, and you're just like, okay, let me just see what happens. Let me just sit down, strap in, how are we gonna be? I don't know what's gonna happen today. Like we had like T.O. had came on the show one time. I mean, so many of these incidents. T.O. came on the show and he hated
Yeah,
Skip
he did.
years, and he sat across and he wouldn't even shake Skip's hand, and we're just like, okay. And then God, who didn't? I mean, please, the list goes on. I mean, God, there are so many people who didn't like him who would come on the show. I'm like, well, dang, if you don't like him, why are you here? But or Stephen A. for that matter. But when
Yeah.
they didn't get along with one another. So what that taught me was to be ready for anything, but also be able to handle everything with grace. Stuart Scott said this to me with the best, may he rest in peace. He was like, you handle
Yes.
everything with grace and elegance. Stay above it all. And while that may not have been the case, behind the scenes in front of the camera, that's all that mattered. And that made everybody feel as if we were moving. But it was just hard. It was just it was tough. None of it was easy. My 2.5 years on that show was not easy. There was nothing about that was easy. It was hard.
Yes.
I had to know a lot because they knew a lot. I listened. Everybody's like, oh, you got to make sure that you talk. I was just like, you got two guys who think they know everything. I'd be lucky to get a word in edgewise, as my mom would say.
Yeah, it seems like every black mom said that growing up because Lord knows I've had my fair.
Edgewise.
Oh
I'm with
yeah,
her.
Lord knows I've had my fair share of moments when my mom would say things like that. But after first take, you do coast to coast, and then from there you go on to ultimately leave ESPN, and now you're on Titan Games. Out of everything that you have experienced, what has made you stay motivated even in the difficult times?
Hmm. I think my motivation is that I believe that that my purpose is to help other brown girls. My purpose is to speak up for brown women. My purpose is to just lead by example. I'm motivated by ambition. I'm super ambitious. Like I wanna win always. I'm very very competitive, but not in a way that makes me feel as if I can't be down with everybody else. But I like to compete. I like to win. I like to be excellent. I like to show black excellence. Um, I am motivated by the ability, the possibility of being better, best, excellent. Like I'm just motivated by, well, how can I make that better? How can we be better? How can we put that out there? How can we change the narrative? Um, I know that having the show with Jemele, I think that, a lot of people are like, oh, that's not going to last. That's not going to last. That's not, yeah, they're missing the point. Everyone's talking about it's not going to last. Name a show ever where two black women are leading the discussion with their opinions in the way in which they want the show to be created, and they have a significant say on any network that
Right.
is actually producing journalistic integrity. We're not, and this is not a knock to entertainers or athletes or actors. We are giving you hardcore facts. We are giving you an opinion unapologetically. We're speaking from a black woman's perspective, and we don't have the same
Yes.
perspective on everything. And we're sitting on a network, and they are giving us the chance to determine. Like, we literally are like, we want this producer. We have such a say in this show that we
Yes.
have never had an editorial say that is just unheard of. We're like, hi, we want this producer. We want to work with these people. Let's try this. Let's move this. Like, we're making real moves in a way that we're taking ownership of a show that we can put on television and say, this is for the culture. Understand it, and I hope you guys like it. You know?
I'm sure we will like it, especially because you said we're doing this for the culture. You have ownership. You have something that a lot of us are still trying to get. What advice would you give to those young black girls or those young black boys like myself that want to follow in your footsteps?
I think that you ultimately see someone who empowers you and someone who inspires you, right? So whomever that is, whoever has a job or a position in life that it doesn't have to be in what we're doing, but any aspect of life, politician, lawyer, attorney, doctor, marketing, whatever. You see someone who has a position in which you admire and you're inspired by. And I would study their moves and how they got there, but then I would make it my own. I always say don't imitate. Imitation is the greatest form of flattery, but I'd make it my own. So like when I was growing up, it was like Oprah. When I was 7 years old and I saw Oprah, I was like, yo, who is this woman? And by the way, I didn't know what she was doing. I just felt her spirit. It came across on camera. It was a talent that she had, and I felt it. I didn't know what she was doing. All I knew is that she just reminded me of me or my family, and it looked very comfortable, and it felt right. So then after that, once I realized, I was like, oh, I always want my own show. I always want my own show like Oprah. And it wasn't so much that I wanted to be Oprah. Everybody has their own show, right? Everybody has their own podcast. Everybody has their own show.
Right.
But what I then knew was that she addressed a time in a group of people, and she was ordained for her moment because she had something very unique to give. And then I knew that I had something that I wanted to share in the way in which I could share it. And it ended up evolving through sports. I was a local reporter, but it ended up evolving through sports. So my thing is that there's no right or wrong way to go about it, but just know that if you see it, it can happen, and you can believe it, and you can make it yours. People could do it with, somebody could do it with being a dentist. Like one of my girlfriends was like, you know, I'm a doctor, and I want to have a show for Black people called Doctors because we have these many issues. Or you could be whatever you want to be, just curtail it to what that fits your passion. Like I go back to that all the time because none of this is easy.
Right.
And I don't care how easy I make it look. None of it's easy. And if you're not passionate about it, you'll give up.
Yes.
So whatever you are dying to do, you know, my homeboy Charlemagne had wrote a book, his first book. He was like, F your passion. Sometimes y'all can't, you know, if you a nurse, be a nurse. You're not going to be a model or something like that with his silly butt, right?
Yeah, that's Charlemagne all the way.
Yeah, right. But what he's essentially saying is that just have some self-awareness. You know what I mean? Like just know if I'm 48, 49, if I'm 50, you know, if I'm like late 40s and I'm just like, let me try to be a broadcast journalist or be a sports reporter, I'm going to have a hard time, right?
Yes.
The reality is it's going to be really hard. Sorry, that was a bust a win. I was like, it's going to be really...
But who the heck just busted up at Kenny's house like that, man? What?
I was like, call 911. But the reality is that it's going to be hard. So just have some self-awareness and know that you can still achieve a dream, but it may not be the ultimate goal of what you thought. Like say if I'm 48 years old and I want to start being a reporter, maybe I just start doing it locally on IG or start my own YouTube page and doing it for me, not for the people who are, you know, who think they can make me famous, if you will. So I hope that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like I just say have a passion. Okay, so Chris, you're gonna kill me. I'm gonna come back and visit you, but I gotta go. What else you want to ask me before I get out of here?
So before we get out of here, you know, you are a passionate Laker fan, just like myself. What is your take, real quick, on J.R. Smith joining the Lakers?
I'm okay with that. Like I'm okay with that. I think J.R. definitely can't hurt the team. I think he can help the team. I think he had an all too friendly, uncomfortable moment when he didn't call timeout and LeBron was mad at him. And so I think that won't happen here. And I think they work well together. I think you have to realize he and LeBron are friends, and I think LeBron
yes, they are.
There. So I doubt if LeBron wants to bring anybody on the team that's going to harm the team. Like I just think that way. I think that, you know, coach, whoever's quote unquote the coach, I think he ultimately is like, this is a good look. Somebody can get us some threes, because if JR get hot, he get hot. We winning. You know what I mean? And I think he's hungry.
Yeah.
Not winning, but that's some extra buckets, right?
Yeah, well, we need as extra buckets as possible because LeBron and AD can't do everything. Cari, I wish I had more time with you, but I know you're a busy woman and got to get ready to, you know, jet.
Yeah, I got to go, but I'm going to come back and visit you. I want to tell you something, and I want you to hear this from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate you coming on here dressed in your suit.
Thank you.
As you said you would. You're a professional, and you seem to really be passionate about what you want to do. And I truly believe, and I appreciate you immediately talking about all the different jobs that you have off the bat. Like, you still are here hustling, but you also have your dreams. And I am inspired by that. I hope people are too. Keep doing both jobs. You just like, I cut grass, I deliver this. Like your what I like to call sweat equity will pay dividends. So keep doing it and move. I am really impressed by you, Chris. I really am. And I wish you nothing but the best. Like, blessings. If I can help you in a real tangible way, I will try.
I will definitely be sending you my information after this interview is over with. I
Okay.
appreciate it. Thank you
God
so much,
bless you,
Cari.
son. God bless you. Bye, babe.